Welcome to The Christian Statesman. I'm your host, Zach Wagner, and this is episode 98, The Awakened Mind, Part 2. In our last piece, we discussed the practical or temporal aspects of the awakened mind. That part of managing our lives involves preparing ourselves and our household for any contingency that would involve a collapse of the grid and or supply chains. There is no guarantee that such preparation would ever be needed, but history tilts the odds in favor of being prepared. The second aspect of preparation involves the mental and spiritual mindset needed for such possibilities. We will discuss that mindset briefly here. The connection with God or the divine manifests differently for every individual. The key here is whether or not you have an orientation of faith that prompts you to inquire after and discover the reality of God. In order to develop an awakened mindset for the spiritual, you must first establish within yourself that God lives, that He is real, and has a personal interest and connection to you that cannot be denied. This can be a difficult process. There is much that happens in our world that would discourage a walk of faith, but be assured God is there. Much of the awful situations on our planet are a direct result of the free will He has given us to act for ourselves. As much as He would like, He will never interfere with our ability to choose for ourselves, as much as we might wish He would in the most indigent circumstances. But that does not preclude us from inquiring after His wisdom and will for us individually. If we will exercise even the tiniest kernel of faith, desiring to know if God is there, He will eventually respond. Maybe not in the ways we desire, but in a way that will turn our mind and hearts towards Him. Be assured that God loves you and knows you far better than you know yourself. As the one who created your intelligence or soul, He has a direct interest in helping you discover the grand and eternal value of that soul, and His plans and purposes always play out for the best, whether here or in the eternities to follow, where all justice and all reward will eventually be meted out. Once the realization of the reality of God is established in your mind and heart, the awakened mindset suggests that you exercise the faith and confidence that God always has a plan for you individually and for this world in general. Just as men can use their free will to perpetrate all sorts of evil on the planet in the name of ambition, power, and gain, so can others be inspired to use their cognitive abilities to fight that evil and establish charity, justice, and mutual prosperity wherever they act. The struggle has been ongoing since man has been on the earth, but if you study the scriptural record, you have a clear picture of who triumphs in the end. And the awakened mind must keep this one fact at the forefront of their thoughts. Just because God has not interceded on a worldwide basis lately does not mean He cannot or will not to accomplish His purposes. And what are His purposes? To establish His kingdom with Christ at the head. That is the ultimate destiny of this planet. If you do not believe it so, then Jesus is a liar, for He has declared precisely that from the beginning. There is an often overlooked few words in the last chapter of Matthew. It is the only biblical reference so explicit. In verse 18, the resurrected Christ says openly, "All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth." This is a direct declaration that Christ, after accomplishing all His Father has given Him to do, is now in charge of everything. In other words, the fate of our world is in His hands. The awakened mind understands that while things might look pretty bleak in the short term, somehow in the longer stretch of history, Christ rises triumphant. Again, He has directly declared it so. And who are we to say it is not so, or never will be so? The awakened mind must take such spiritual declarations on their face. It is a wise and natural process to do so. And if we will exercise enough faith to accept such declarations of truth, over time God Himself will give us repeated confirmations through our minds and hearts, and our faith will be turned into irrefutable understanding. It may come all at once in a large aha moment, or quietly and subtly over time, one drop at a time, but it will come. Again, Christ has declared, "Heaven and earth may pass away, but my words shall not pass away." We bear witness that his words will all be fulfilled to the last jot and tittle. They have echoed throughout 2 millennia of history to speak directly to us and our day. When we hear them, and hear them clearly, we may know our eyes are open, our mind and heart awakened, and we can wait with great faith and anticipation the mighty works of God. It is simply up to us to be prepared to act and do our part. Thank you for being with us today. Please subscribe, and as always, have a blessed day.